Hello and welcome to another episode of the Digital Painter Vidcast. My name is Terry Danich-Kimiak II and I am the Digital Painter. Yes, I know it's been a couple weeks since I put up a video. I want to apologize for that. I'm a professor. School started last week and needless to say it has been busier than all get out. Literally last week, we had the first week of classes, we had auditions for our 10-minute new and nearly new play festival, which I'm a director in, plus I'm working on a show in Pittsburgh, plus I'm trying to keep everything up and running with the Digital Painter website. Along with that, I picked up another gig designing another website. So it's been busy, but you know, I like to make time for you, my patrons, my friends, who share with me this exciting ride that we do with digital art. Real quick, if you are a member of the Digital Painter website and you are a patron or platinum patron, remember that there is a Facebook group that you can join. We've got several people on there already. We're sharing images. It's really exciting to see what other people are creating. I've been having fun because I've been trying to do a painting a day. I haven't been able to post all of them, but I've been trying to post as many as I can. So definitely, if you're a member, that's thedigitalpainter.com. Stop by the website. We have a free membership, but the free membership doesn't get you into the Facebook group. The Facebook group is for my paying members who want a little more one-on-one time with me, and I chat with them a little bit on there, and it's a lot of fun. So definitely check it out. All right, as you can see behind me here, I've got, in fact, one of those paintings that I've been doing, painting a day. I did that one in, I think it was PaintStorm Studio, maybe Corel Paint. So it's in a folder. I have it in a folder in a file, and it tells me what it is, so I don't have to think about it all the time. All right, now this vidcast is going to deal with, it's going to continue our drawing series, our art series. If you remember the last drawing series / art series, I need to think of a good name, something better than drawing or art series, but we talked about shapes and how shapes can be used to create images. Now, there's a problem with shapes, though. Shapes are two-dimensional. We don't live in a two-dimensional world. We live in a three-dimensional world. And so we're going to move from shapes, which is a very simple way of drawing and sketching, and we're going to move to form. Yes, form. That is what creates these wonderful shadows and highlights, these things that we see when we look around. When you look at a photograph or you look at a painting and you get that feeling of three-dimensionalness. Well, that's a terrible term, but that is what we are looking for. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to be playing in Corel Painter because that's what I happen to have up. So let me pop over. There we are. Look at that. You see that? Popped. Boom. There I am in the new place. All right. So we are in Corel Painter. Again, for those that don't know, or if this is your first video, I use a Wacom Intuos Pro tablet. So that's what I have below me. I keep looking down, making sure that my hand is right. And so that's what I'm going to be drawing in. Let me grab a pencil. I was playing with a couple of other things tonight. Where is my to-be pencil? To be or not to be? That's theater for you. Let me see. That'll work. I like that. All right. So we were talking about form, and there are 4 shapes when it comes to form. Okay? Or 4 basic shapes that you can use to draw almost anything. Can you believe that? The first one is the cube. And what is a cube? Well, it's a square that's been extruded into a 3-dimensional form. So if we're looking at a cube, I need elevator music during this period. So there's our square. That's a basic shape. And now we'll extrude it. That's a term that I use in theater design all the time, extrude. And now we have a 3-dimensional shape. When I teach my theater design classes, I'm teaching young, up-and-coming scenic designers, I always tell them, if you're having a problem with furniture, create a box and then put the furniture inside the box. It makes things easier. So here's my box. The great thing with the box, so if we have, let me draw a square over here, right? Okay, square, right? Where's the highlights? Where are the shadows? We don't know. But if we grab, I'm going to add a new layer. Drag it underneath. And I'm going to grab something I can color with. Something pretty. Like an art marker. Let's try it out. Let me see. Nope, don't like it. Flat rendering marker, do I like that? Well, if I can select it. There we go. Whoa, that's too big. So let's decrease the size. And I've gone too small. There we go. Let's pick a color. Okay. So if we're looking at our box, say we've got our front. Oh, it's a marker. So I got to do it in one pass, which is fine. I'm just doing this messy. You know, I'm not, for those who are, oh my gosh, he's so messy. I am. So there, it's one side. And then let's say our other side, we'll start with the same color, but let's say this one's in more shadow. So we'll come with a second layer. And now let's do the top. Second layer. And then a third layer. So by layering up like this, we have different, the light is hitting this in 3 different ways, right? So this is our lightest area, our mid-tones, and then our shadows are up here, the darkest of the dark. So the light, if we were looking at an object like this, probably is coming from this direction right here. How would we show that on a square? We wouldn't be able to. There's no form there. We can't see that. You know, you'd be able to paint the front, and that's about it. Now, you can shade this to make it look like our 3-dimensional object over here, but it's not the same. All right, so square or cube, cube is one item that we need when we're talking about form. What are the other items? Well, the second item is going to be your sphere. Now, a sphere is a little harder to show because a sphere and a circle might look similar. But what a sphere has that a circle doesn't is that 3-dimensional. So we would come through here. Okay, and that gives us our thickness. One of the best ways to show a sphere, I guess, would be to actually shade it. So I'm going to draw our beginning of our sphere, which is a circle. Okay, then I'll grab something to color in with. I'm going to try something different. Why don't we do choices? A Dol Conte? Well, let's see what it does. We're going to add another layer. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. We'll come in here. Now I'm just going to stay in pencil right now, as you can see. Grab my blenders. Oh, that blender is too big. Oh. This is what I get for not picking out my blenders ahead of time. I'm one of those people I like to, I am not happy with any of these blenders right now. Let's try this one. There we go. So I'm going to start to blend this here, and then I'm going to pull it out here. It's a little dark for my taste, so I'll come in. Tell me, do I have which? Yeah. Lighten up some of this out here. And the way we know it's a sphere is that, the light forms around it. If you've ever seen a picture of Earth from space, where you see the light coming around it to give it its shape. It is that light and dark that helps give us this feeling of 3 dimensions, right? Because, on a 2-dimensional space, a television or a computer screen, you can't see you can't walk around an object. You only have what you're being given, what you can see, right? So this right here starts to give us that feeling of 3-dimensional versus a static or flat circle, which would just be, okay? So there we have the sphere versus the circle, okay? So we've done, I'm looking at my notes over here, we've done cubes, we've done spheres. Our next one is the cylinder. So what is a cylinder? Well, if you were to look at a cylinder in a 2-dimensional form, all it would look like is a rectangle. I'm working on drawing straight lines these days. I found that the more I practice, the better I get, except for right there. So that's a cylinder front on. But what is a cylinder really? Well, a cylinder is rounded at the top and bottom. So if I were to draw an actual cylinder, do I have my, yep, there's my touch on, good. Move around a little bit. So we have a little bit of roundness here, which would actually, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw it there. You wouldn't see that. So think of it like a can, right? An opening at the top and the bottom, and rounded all throughout. Now this would do the same thing as a circle, right? If we were to grab in some shading, when I say same thing, I don't mean actual same thing. If we were to grab in some shading, grab in our Conti, I'm just going to lay down some right here. And then grab my, rub out our Conti. Again, it's circular, so we're going to feel a roundness to it. That is kind of the goal in the shading. And again, this is what gives us our 3-dimensional feel, right? I'm going to soften that end. I like the grainy water, but I'm not sure I'm thrilled with it. Let me see what this does. Oh, I hate the oily blenders. I've decided I am not a fan of the oily. Whoa, that was wicked cool. Oh, I picked a particle one. That was well done. There we go. Give us a little bit of a take away a little bit of the darkness. I'm very picky when it comes to blending. Even when I'm doing it, if I'm using natural media, I'm using my finger, I may blend an area way too many times. And it's one of those things that I've always felt I'm not great at, so I tend to overwork it. You probably, everybody tends to have those little things that they tend to overwork just a little bit, and blending is one of those. Because I always want it to be perfect, right? I always want it to look exactly what I have in my mind's eye. Almost never get that. But you can see now where we're starting to get 3-dimension, right? Okay, and you could come in, you could probably shade the top too if you wanted to. I'm not gonna do that right now, but you could probably do that too. I'm just giving myself a little bit of coarseness there. A little bit of a blur. There we go. Okay. So we've got cylinder, we've got sphere, we've got a cube, and then we finish off with the final thing here, which is a cone. And again, what you're going to see here, there's a difference between a cone and a triangle. A triangle looks like this, right? But a cone has dimension to it. So this, followed by this, and then we finish with this. And then again, if we were to shade, and actually I'm just going to use the pencil to shade. It's a great thing, is I can just tilting my stylus a little farther sideways than what I do when I draw, and that's how I'm getting the shade rather than the line. And then again, if we come out, we see, there we go, that cone is 3-dimension. The triangle is 2-dimension. So it's this form that we're going to use in future videos that helps us to create objects. So let's think of a very simple object. Let's think of, for example, let's start, see this, now I got to think. Let's start with a, let's start with a candlestick. Okay. What is a candlestick? Well, let's start with a cylinder. Oops. And I'm going to draw all the way around. So usually, like I said, sometimes you wouldn't see the back side of items. Okay. And then maybe this candlestick is decorative, right? So maybe there's a sphere here. Okay. And again, this would have dimension to it. It'd come out to us here and then roll up the back side. Okay. And then, I wonder if I can make that circle there disappear. There we go. Good. And then maybe on the base here, there's a cone with the cone point essentially going up to here. And then maybe we finish out with a big cylinder that is the base. But it's a fairly flat cylinder, right? So this is the worst candlestick of all time, based in just 4 shapes, or 3-dimensional forms. Okay, I don't like my bottom cylinder. I liked how it began, and then I end it terribly. Should have come out here. There we go. That I feel better about. There we go. Okay. Now this is the beginning, this is not done. You wouldn't sit here and go, oh, look, that's a finished candlestick. No, now what you do is you go in and you add details and you figure out where your light's coming from and your shadow. But it is this form where, had I done this in 2 dimensions, this is what we would have. Our cylinder would actually look like a rectangle. Our sphere would look like a circle. Our cone would look like a triangle, and then our bottom would actually look like a rectangle. Now, which one to you looks more realistic? Which one to you do you feel like you can pick up? The one on the left, exactly. And then as you come in here, maybe you add a little shading, and that's what's going to finish it up to give us our feeling of 3 dimensions, right? Now over here, we'd probably shade all this. Now, I'm not saying this is the prettiest candlestick. In fact, honestly, it's quite ugly. I wouldn't buy it unless it's an antique. You know, if it's an antique, I might get it. Then you put your candle in the top here. Which, what is the candle? The candle is another cylinder, right? So if we come up, so there's our candle, our little flame, and there we go. All right. That's it for the beginnings of form. What we're going to do in the next couple of videos is we're going to actually go through each of these shapes and see what is out there that we can use that shape in, such as the cylinder, such as a sphere. What about cutting into pieces? You know, I haven't even gotten into that, right? So, for example, you could start with a sphere, but then what might end up happening is you're cutting off a side. Okay, so we got like that. And now we have a different overall look, but still using the sphere as the base. We'll do that in the next couple of videos. I hope you enjoyed this. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're on YouTube. If you are not on YouTube and you're watching this on the website, make sure that you think about joining the Digital Painter. The artist membership, completely free. A couple of perks with it. The big perks, though, come with the patron membership and the platinum patron. Thank you guys so much. And of course, my name is Terry Dana Jakimiak II, and you're watching another Digital Painter vidcast. Have fun and enjoy your art.